So this episode of Monday Night Raw begins with the list of Jericho being stolen. Oh, the horror! Oh, the comedy! Because comedy just proceeded on through the night with the list of Jericho being stolen. And, okay, so it starts with Jericho hitting the ring, saying that something tragic and something devastating has happened and the list of Jericho has been stolen, and he threatened to not be in a triple threat match between Owens, himself, and Rollins unless the list of Jericho is found. So you know where this is going. Come on. You just... Alright, out comes Owens, say, he'll help find the list later after the triple threat. Jericho says no. He stands his ground. Steph comes out and says basically the same shit that Owens was saying. Jericho stands his ground. Seth Rollins comes out with the list of Jericho, even hiding it behind his back and going just, okay. Look, again, comedy. The comedy pursues because on the list there was, Seth and Sparkle Crotch and yeah, the Sparkle Crotch shit from last week. Ugh, goodness. But then he proceeds to go and say that Stephanie was on the list and Owens was on the list. Go figure, right? To try to stir things up, and whether they're on the list or not, it was still stirring them up and still comedy and so on and so forth, and told Jericho if he wanted the list, he can go back there and get it. Alright. Rollins disappears and Jericho goes after him. So, right after that, you have Rollins saying that he doesn't have the list anymore, and Stephanie was like, give back the list. Rollins was like, I don't have it. It's in the locker room. Okay, fine. So, first match of the night, and this is probably 20 minutes into the fucking show, Enzo and Cass come out, and they're starting to do their usual stick on the microphone. Everybody knows the fucking words, and it came to that later, because right in the middle of Enzo doing his shit, the mic gets cut off, and it's like, oh god. So Anderson and Gallows turns off the mic, or gets someone to turn off the fucking microphone, saying that they're sick and tired of the sing-along and the catchphrases and the fun of games is over, and so on and so forth. And the silence is music to their ears. So Enzo just with a bare hand, and I congratulate the Minneapolis crowd because they lit up when Enzo and Morris started talking. And it was like, yeah, okay, fine. You want to turn off the microphone? Don't fucking need it. The fans know the words by now. His name is Enzo Amore. He's a certified G and a bona fide stud. You can't teach that. There's Big Cass. He's 7 foot tall. Can't teach that. Bada boom, real guys in the room, how you doing? There's only one word to describe him, and he's going to spell it out. S-A-W-T, so. Look, again, of course I didn't say it like usual, because that would have fucking took too long. But, look, again, everybody knows the lines, the crowd knew the lines, it was loud as fuck. I commend the Minneapolis crowd for that. And Enzo ends up winning the match between him and Anderson, one-on-one, due to Big Cass interfering, because he got on the apron, he got off. Gallows gets on the apron, and while that happens, Anderson sticks his head to the outside, and Cass gives him a big boot, and Enzo just pins him, and okay. So, they're going to have a tag team match at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, and it's like, alright, look, momentum is everything this is the going home episode before Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, and there was more fun and games than there was seriousness throughout the show. This is Hell in a Cell. There's supposed to be a lot of seriousness. There is only one instance for one match that was just nothing but seriousness that we could take seriously throughout the show. And I'll get to that later. Now, the New Day come out and they do their usual stuff, except they're making fun of Sheamus. Shame us. Yeah, they stress that out. Shame us for letting him come out here week after week and so on. But not just shame us, shame him. Shame. Yes, they ran that bit. Oh, goodness. So, the New Day versus Sheamus and Cesaro in a non-title match, which Sheamus and Cesaro actually fucking win. The match was pretty structured. They still told the story of Sheamus and Cesaro not getting along, but it was more chemistry than ever before. So getting a non-title win due to the situation of how it happened, it's like, wow, okay, that's entertaining, that's something. Even though there were blind tags and so on and so forth and disagreeing, but it was still more chemistry as far as them disagreeing or them not getting along, so to speak. Sheamus and Cesaro actually fucking win, so yeah, oh well. So, Chris Jericho is in the backstage asking for the fucking list. And this is where things get hilarious because, of course, he goes to Shining Stars, he asks them. Yeah, he doesn't want anything to do with the Shining Stars. He goes to Titus O'Neil, asks him. The Titus brand, no, the stupid brand. Yeah, he makes fun of that. He goes to Jinder Mahal. Jinder Mahal is doing his breathing technique. And while he's doing the breathing technique, Jericho is like, stupid idiot. Along with the breathing, he's like, he wants to listen. He storms off. Okay, fine. Dana versus Bayley. We thought there was going to be a match, but no, it turned into an arm wrestling match. Bayley's right shoulder is injured. So guess where this is going, right? Yeah. Bayley wanted to do it with her left. Dana was like, nope, the right, and basically toys with her and beats her. But then they switched to the left, and then Bayley was about to beat her, and then Dana does a cheap shot, attacks her, rams her shoulder against the fucking arm wrestling table, but then tries to attack Bayley again, and Bayley ends up giving Dana the Bayley to belly. People were shouting boring in that match because it wasn't even a fucking match. It was an arm wrestling match, and it was boring. It ate up some time. It was ridiculous. Come on. Have the confrontation, but both both women's divisions need help. Real help right now. Both divisions are so lacking. It's funny because there was no Nia Jax this week. There hasn't been any Nia Jax for the last couple of weeks. And yes, you have Charlotte and Sasha, but that can't keep going. It can't be that figure 8 and coming back. It can't be just those two. There has to be more. But anyway, Jericho's still looking for the fucking list. Stephanie goes up to him and he stands his ground, saying he's not going to go out there and wrestle a triple threat. But Stephanie's like, okay, you forced my hand, da-da-da-da-da. You will be suspended if you don't wrestle tonight in the triple threat. List or no list. So, you have Bo Dallas against Curtis Axel, and Curtis Axel, basically, that's his hometown, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and he basically mentions his grandfather, Larry the Axe Hennig, and he mentions he's the son of Mr. Perfect, and it's like, alright, look, let's do this. Let's make Curtis Axel fucking worth something. Yes, he's a former Intercontinental Champion. Yes, he's a former Paul Heyman guy, but that still didn't mean shit. So, he goes against Bo Dallas, and he actually does some fucking moves from his fucking father, Mr. Perfect. He even hit the fucking Perfect Plex. And I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, 1, 2, and Bo Dallas kicks out. I'm like, oh no. He even hit like one of Mr. Perfect's flipping neck breakers and shit from the fucking corner. And I'm like, alright, yes, do this. Make both of them, have us take them both seriously. If Curtis Axel would have won on his hometown, it would have at least made fucking sense, and we could still take Bo Dallas seriously afterwards if Bo Dallas would have attacked him, but no, Curtis Axel loses. That pissed me off. Look, they should have done it different to elevate both of these guys. We know that Bo Dallas is they're trying to hype him up. They're trying to work him back. But this was a perfect opportunity for them to do Curtis Axel and have them both rise at the same time. But they didn't fucking pull the trigger. And that just pissed me off. So, you have Jericho have his bags, rolling his bag, he's about to leave. Yet he's stopped by one of the production managers or something in the back, or one of the workers in the back, and says that he saw his list right around the corner. Jericho kisses this guy on the fucking forehead. He goes around the corner, and Braun Strowman has the list. Yes. Nerds! Yeah, that guy. Yeah, he has the fucking list. Shout out to Blaze and Melfunsky, by the way. Because they're the ones that first said that Braun Strowman looked like Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds. And I can't get that out of my head because, yes, he fucking does. Go see Revenge of the Nerds, look at Ogre, and then look at Braun Strowman. It's just uncanny how they fucking look and act the same. Anyway, Braun Strowman proceeds to say to Jericho, Sami Zayn is not on this list. Jericho asks, may I have the list back? Say please. May I have the list back? Please. Yeah, Sami Zayn's not on this list. And Braun Strowman walks away, and Jericho's like, it's on page 3! You touched my personal property. You know what happens, Braun Strowman? You just make the list! Comedy. It was nothing but comedy with this list. Jericho's list has better storylines and comedy and more taken seriously than The Miz. Think about that. That's so funny to me. But anyway, Jericho has his list back, so the triple threat match is on. Did you think it would actually get to that point, though? No. The Golden Truth against the Shining Stars. Why? Does anyone give a fuck about these two teams? No, I didn't think so. Mark Henry in the corner of the Golden Truth. Titus O'Neil in the corner of the Shining Stars. Mark Henry and Titus O'Neil get involved. Mark Henry shoving Titus O'Neil into the apron. One of the Shining Stars falls and gets pinned off the top rope and gets hung by nuts. And it's like, oh God, I just don't take them seriously. Neither team, not Titus O'Neil, not Mark Henry either. I'm so fucking over them. Okay. This is the going home episode of Monday Night Raw before Hell in a Cell. They could have done more things, with more segments, with more people that are involved in the fucking pay-per-view for us to take that shit more seriously. But they throw that type of shit in, and it's like, no. Just no. So, there was a contract signing between Sasha and Charlotte with Mick Foley out there. Now, of course, everybody knew why Mick Foley was out there. You would have think that Stephanie McMahon would be involved in the contract signing because, of course, this is the first ever women's Hell in a Cell, making history. But who better than Mick fucking Foley to be out there? And Sasha and Charlotte talk about they're ready and they're not afraid or anything like that. They're not scared. And Mick Foley was like, you should be. And he ran it down upon himself being the former shell of himself just because of that fucking match. And look, Mick Foley even laid down the line, and it's the same thing that I've been saying. In order for them to have this match and for it to be taken seriously, they have to have it structured to the point where it's not like a normal match, but they can't go too fucking far. These ladies can't go on top of that cage and push one of them off or halfway and fly off to an announcer's table or anything like that. They're not going to end up... How are they going to get out of the cage? Or how are they going to get out of the cell? Seriously. Are they going to use steel steps? Are they going to use chairs? Are they going to use kendo sticks? Are they just going to ram each other against the cage and to the steel post over and over again? In order for this to be a Hell in a Cell quality match, both of these women have to take an enormous amount of fucking punishment. Nothing should put them down easily. And that's the dilemma that they have with this match. They both signed a contract. Yeah. Charlotte was like, see you in Boston. And Sasha was like, see you in hell. Keep in mind, Charlotte is undefeated in pay-per-views. But still. Alright. Rich Swann beats Brian Kendrick. Remember, this is the going home episode of Raw before Hell in a Cell. Brian Kendrick has a cruiserweight title shot against TJ Perkins. Rich Swann rolls him up and beats him. And it was a pretty standard match. And it's like, alright, yeah. TJ Perkins was in commentary during the match, and it was like, they went through the history between TJ Perkins and Brian Kendrick, and wonder, is that going to play a role? He knew Brian Kendrick, but he doesn't know the person that's in this ring. Okay, fine. Kevin Owens has a backstage interview talking about Hell in a Cell and talking about all the things he's going to injure on Seth Rollins. And saying that when he watched Hell in a Cell and so on and so forth, he would want to be there someday. Even though that doesn't make any sense, because a couple of weeks ago, he was, whining about being in Hell in a Cell in the first place, that a match that ended Foley, or that injured Foley, or that made Foley what he was. But anyway, Braun Strowman was scheduled to have a match with Sami Zayn, and he didn't want to do it because he doesn't see Sami Zayn as competition. So, due to, alright, Sami Zayn attacked him, but once Braun Strowman caught him when Sami Zayn tried to go over the top rope and tried to dive on him, he just rammed Sami Zayn against the outside barricade and just walks away. Sami Zayn was still standing. He got in the ring, and it was like, yeah. But Braun Strowman still walked away, so that is still open. Brian Kendrick goes to TJ Perkins in the back and asks him to let him win on Sunday because this is his last chance. Fuck that, all right? Don't try to Stockholm this situation so you'll just lay down for Brian Kendrick. We want to fucking see a good fucking match. Yeah, he was like, yeah, you can lose the belt and you can get it back, but this is my last chance. I don't fucking care about that, all right? Have a good fucking match like you beaten him before. You beaten TJ Perkins before a couple of weeks ago. So, come on. Don't fucking ask. No. So, you have Heyman and Brock Lesnar. Once again, this is Minneapolis, Brock Lesnar's hometown. You had the Goldberg chance. This is Paul Heyman's weakest interview ever. He didn't even finish it. He didn't even finish it strong. He was talking about Goldberg and, talking about how people are jumping on the Brock Lesnar bandwagon, shouting Suplex City and warning people, whoever's shouting Goldberg, if you do that, then Brock will take matters into his own hands, and people were still doing it. There was even a Goldberg sucks chant, but and a Suplex City chant. There were light Goldberg. There were light chants of Goldberg, but it wasn't enough. But still, it was a weak Paul Heyman interview, and I never thought I'd be saying that, especially this day and age. Paul Heyman usually comes out strong. He usually delivers. He actually gets the crowd fucking into it. He lays down Brock Lesnar's accolades and accomplishments, but he fucking didn't do that. It was just about fucking Goldberg, and it was mediocrity at its finest, really. It's just, Heyman could have done way better than that. Lesnar didn't say a word, as usual, but yeah. So, you had the triple threat match between Seth Rollins, Chris Jericho, and Kevin Owens. Alright, it wasn't really a triple threat match. Yeah, it was a handicap match. Duh. Which Seth Rollins actually fucking wins. Okay, it was... One attacks Rollins, then the other attacked Rollins. And Rollins would get the upper hand, and they would both attack him. And yeah, it was a standard triple threat match. Because it was a handicap match. Yeah, two heels and one face. Yeah. Especially if the two heels are supposed to be best friends. Yeah. Seth Rollins ends up reversing a double superplex and ends up rolling both of them up and ends up pinning Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho at the same time. So after that, a brawl ensues between Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins and Chris Jericho, but Chris Jericho disappears, and Seth and Owens, they proceed to go at it, even though officials and backstage workers came out and tried to separate them. Kevin Owens gets the upper hand and actually hits the power bomb on the fucking apron to Seth Rollins. Good way to end the fucking show. Because that move has put out Sami Zayn or injured people, you know what I'm saying? So that was a great way to end the show and a great way to recapture the seriousness about the fucking pay-per-view. But there was a lot more of the show that fucking could have been done. And it pisses me off that every time WWE has a chance to capitalize and to lead up to something very important and entertaining, there's always a couple of things that makes it fail. So what did you think about the show? Did you think about, all right, all the comedy? What about a couple of teams that, or a couple of matches that were like lackluster, or the Golden Truth and Bo Dallas, Curtis Axel, and the Shining Stars, and Rich Swann beating Brian Kendrick. Wow, just wow. And Seth Rollins actually rolling up both Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens. If he would have just rolled up Chris Jericho, fine. But him rolling up the Universal Champion too? Fuck that, alright? No, just... please. Anyway, drop kicks, body slams, throw motherfuckers over the top rope, both feet hitting the floor. Yes, I'm a wrestling fan. This is the theme, and I'll see you later. Credits.